We all know about the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. However, there was another ancient culture that, despite being more extensive than its contemporaries, may be the most obscure in terms of world history. The Indus Valley civilization wasn't identified until 1921. What happened to this ancient civilization, and how did it fall from greatness into obscurity? The Indus Valley civilization is believed to have begun to flourish around 3300 BCE, around 600 years after the start of the Sumerians and 150 years after the first historical records of unified Egypt. It has been identified as a pristine civilization. It developed on its own without cultural exchange or influence from an established civilization, and it happened without conquest. The first permanent settlements in the area were farming communities that were established around 4000 BCE. They utilized irrigated agriculture to maximize the productivity of the fertile soil in the Indus River Valley. In a similar way to their Mesopotamian and Egyptian contemporaries, the Indus Valley farmers made use of the annual floods to fertilize their fields. The farmers grew wheat, barley, field peas, mustard, sesame, and dates. There is also some indication that they were the earliest civilization to grow cotton. After around 1,000 years of successful farming, which resulted in population growth, the first signs of urbanization appeared. At its peak, the Indus civilization consisted of over 100 small towns and villages and two large cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, both situated in modern-day Pakistan. Historians postulate that the presence of two apparent capitals suggests either two large states or that the civilization had alternative capitals. Another suggestion is that Mohenjo-daro was affected by several devastating floods. It might have been abandoned as a political capital in favor of Harappa. Despite the fact that the Indus Valley civilization developed a writing system, little is known about their political and social structures. The Indus Valley script remains undeciphered, as no bilingual texts have been discovered. The origin of the script is not known or properly understood, and the language it represents is still being debated. The Indus script is the earliest known writing system on the Indian subcontinent, and the connection to the later writing systems of Brahmi, Devanagari, and Bengali is uncertain. Analysis of the writings has revealed that the language is not related to Indo-European, Sumerian, Hurrian, or Elamite. Some linguists suggest that it is associated with the modern language of Dravidian, which is currently spoken in the southern part of the Indian peninsula, and, in particular, the Brahui language, which is spoken in western Pakistan. Archaeologists have recovered around 2,000 short inscriptions that range from single characters to longer writings that feature around 20 characters. Despite extensive studies of the symbols, no general consensus has been reached as to their meaning. What is clear is that the widespread use of the inscriptions means there was a common language that was used throughout the region. Archaeological evidence points to some kind of class system due to the massive divergence in house size and type. There also seems to be craft specialization and local craft groupings at Mohenjo-daro. Trade in the region was clearly extensive and seemingly well regulated, with raw materials being imported and finished goods being distributed throughout the region. They also had uniform weights and measures and built huge granaries that indicated a degree of administrative control over the entire area. Analysis of the cuboid weights have previously suggested that the Indus Valley civilization followed a binary system for the lower weights and a decimal system for the larger ones. However, recent studies have concluded that there were two systems of weights, both based on a decimal system. Historians agree that the system was complex and has yet to be fully understood. Further evidence of administration is demonstrated in the architecture of the Indus Valley. The towns were planned on a grid system, dividing the city into rectangular blocks. Many were also divided into a fortified citadel, most likely inhabited by priests or higher-class citizens, and the lower town. The roads were straight and cut into each other at right angles, and the whole town or city was connected with a sophisticated drainage system that was covered by stone slabs or bricks. In the capitals, wells were widespread, and almost every house contained a bathing area with an accompanying drainage system, showing a remarkable degree of sophistication. The architecture shows stunning accuracy, prompting some archaeologists to suggest they had instruments with which surveyors could offset right angles. Some of the best examples of their architectural proficiency can be seen in the Great Bath and the Great Granary of Mohenjo-daro. The Great Bath was a large rectangular tank made watertight with bricks and gypsum mortar. It was surrounded by corridors and had 2 flights of steps, allowing bathers to access the tank. Throughout the cities, there is a distinct lack of temples, and the Great Bath is the only structure that is somewhat akin to a temple-like building. Historians suggest that this indicates cleanliness was important to the Indus Valley people and may have formed part of their ideology. The Great Granary is the biggest of its kind found in the Indus Valley and was used to store rice, wheat, and barley for the population outside of the harvest seasons. There is also evidence of a dry dock at Lothal, which seems to have been used as an outpost for sea trade, suggesting the sea was once much closer to the site than it is now. Surprisingly, despite the evidence suggesting a central administration, there is no evidence of a king, queen, or central seat of government. Historians speculate that this is evidence of peaceful governance, in which officials held positions through skill rather than force. Archaeologist Vasant Shinde goes one step further, stating that the Indus Valley people were likely to be the founders of the Panchayat system of democracy, which was a system advocated by Mahatma Gandhi, where the government is decentralized and each village is responsible for its own affairs. As well as evidence of administration and architectural prowess, the Indus Valley people engaged in artistic and creative activities. Carved stone figures, including seated men and hybrid animals, have been found that most historians believe were for worship. Although most of these are crude carvings, there are a number of fine pieces that are of excellent quality. As most of the sculptures were broken, some historians, like Jonathan Canoyer, believe that whoever came in at the very end of the Indus period clearly didn't like the people who were representing themselves or their elders. Archaeologists have also found cast bronze statues of chariots, carts, animals, and dancing girls. Although only a few of these bronze statues have been found, the technical quality suggests that it was a highly developed art in the area. The majority of artwork comes in the form of terracotta figurines, which historians believe represent deities, most likely a great mother goddess and a great father god. Most of the figures are of a standing female who is heavily laden with jewelry, with some standing males occasionally depicted with a beard and horns. A variety of terracotta toys have also been found, such as animals, carts, monkeys pierced to climb a string, and cattle that nod their heads. The Indus Valley civilization obviously had well-established internal trade, but there is also plenty of evidence of external trade relations. Many raw materials were probably imported from various areas, including gold from northern Karnataka, lead from Rajasthan, lapis lazuli and alabaster from Iran, amethyst from Maharashtra, and jade from Central Asia. Historians suggest that the Indus Valley people traded textiles, beads, copper tools, and weapons in exchange. There are also well-documented trade links with Mesopotamia, as evidenced by several Indus seals found in Mesopotamia, including in the city of Ur. There are also documents and official inscriptions that mention the ancient Akkadian name for the Indus Valley, Maluha. So what happened to this once great civilization? Well, like many other ancient civilizations, its decline was pretty slow and probably had many contributing factors. Most historians believe the decline took place between 2000 and 1750 BCE. Some historians think that it was due to wars or raiders and cite passages in the older books of the Rig Veda, which describe newcomers, assumed to be Indo-Europeans, attacking the citadels or walled cities of the native people. In the 1940s, an archaeologist named Mortimer Wheeler discovered more than 35 human skeletons at Mohenjo-daro that he believed had been killed by raiders. For many years, the collapse of the city was attributed to invaders. However, there is limited evidence of warfare in the Indus Valley, and there are very few signs of battles. The lack of corroborating archaeological evidence leads many historians to believe that the Indus Valley civilization did not meet a violent end. No one can ever be sure of how or why the Indus Valley civilization died out, but there are many indications that something was amiss. Houses have been built on top of houses, suggesting overcrowding in the cities, and the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro was built over. The previously well-maintained drains became blocked, and it appears that traders began hiding their valuables under the floors of their homes, suggesting there might have been regular raids or more lawlessness. Overpopulation might have led to an overexploitation of resources that would have placed strain on the administrative rule and food availability. Given the trade links with Mesopotamia, the Mesopotamian collapse would have affected the Indus Valley population. As Mesopotamia was going through a period of political instability, many trade networks broke down, meaning less work, resources, and opportunities for Indus Valley traders. Although this clearly affected the urban population, people continued to live and farm in the area despite the cities being abandoned and falling into ruin. One suggestion for the collapse was climate change, and given the evidence, this seems the most likely cause. Some hypothesize that this environmental change happened gradually. In contrast, others think it was more dramatic, with movements in the Earth's crust causing the Indus River to flood and change direction. As the main cities relied on the river, this would have been devastating for the urban population. It has also been theorized that repeated flooding might have led to a buildup of salt, rendering the once fertile land barren. Around this time, the region was struck by another devastating blow when the Ghaggar-Hakra River dried up, forcing people to abandon their homes in Kalibangan and Banawali. The mass migrations, coupled with the ecological disasters, would have led to starvation and disease, and the ensuing chaos might have caused the political leadership to lose control of the cities. The south of the Indus Valley civilization seems to have had a different experience, and it appears that there is more of a cultural bridge between the Indus phase and the cultures of the Copper Age. However the collapse happened, the use of writing, seals, and a number of other specialized crafts disappeared. Perhaps this was due to a sudden population decline that forced people to abandon more scholarly pursuits in favor of farming, returning their focus to mere survival. Do you have any theories on the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization? Let us know in the comments below. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Indian history, check out our book, Ancient India, a captivating guide to ancient Indian history, starting from the beginning of the Indus Valley civilization through the invasion of Alexander the Great to the Mauryan Empire. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.